The Haunting of the Haunted Bus, the Ghost of Valak. In a quiet, foggy town nestled in the mountains, a chilling legend has taken hold. Locals speak of a mysterious old bus that roams the streets at night, its headlights dim and its engine sputtering like an ancient creature gasping for breath. This bus, however, is no ordinary vehicle. It is said to be haunted by the ghost of Valak, a terrifying spirit that appears to those who dare to board it. The story begins with an eerie event that occurred many years ago. The bus, once a regular mode of transport, was part of the town's public transportation system. It was known as the Midnight Express, running along a winding, desolate road through the forested hills. It was an isolated route, and the passengers who took it often returned with stories of strange occurrences and unexplained events. The first encounter. On one particularly stormy evening, a young woman named Claire was running late for a meeting in town. Her only option was to take the Midnight Express, as it was the last bus leaving before the storm would close off all roads. Claire had heard the rumors about the bus being haunted, but she was always a skeptic. Her rational mind dismissed them as local superstitions, nothing more than stories to scare children. As she climbed aboard the bus, she noticed something unsettling. There were no other passengers. The bus driver, an old man with a weathered face, greeted her with a gruff nod and a faint smile, but there was something odd about his eyes. They were cold, empty, as if he wasn't entirely present. "Only one passenger tonight?" Claire asked, trying to make light of the situation. The driver simply nodded, saying nothing as he started the engine. The bus lurched forward, and Claire settled into an empty seat, trying to relax. The storm outside howled, and the wind rattled the windows. As the bus drove deeper into the hills, the eerie silence inside was broken only by the occasional flicker of the bus's dim lights. That's when Claire felt it, the sudden drop in temperature. The air around her grew colder, and she could see her breath forming into mist. She looked around, but the bus was still empty, except for the driver. That's when she heard it, soft footsteps behind her, slow and deliberate. Claire turned, her heart racing, but there was no one there. The footsteps stopped. She laughed nervously, thinking it was her imagination. But then the temperature dropped even further, and the flickering lights went out completely. The bus was swallowed by darkness. The ghostly encounter. Suddenly, a shadow appeared in the corner of her vision. A woman, tall and unnervingly still, stood at the back of the bus. She was dressed in a black habit, her face obscured by a dark veil. Claire's blood ran cold as she stared at the figure. It was the last thing she expected to see. The woman's presence seemed to freeze the air around them, and Claire could feel her heart pounding in her chest. She tried to speak, but her voice failed her. The woman took a slow step forward, and Claire could see now that her eyes were completely black, void of any emotion. The figure's mouth twisted into a sinister smile, and Claire could feel the air grow heavy with dread. "Do you see me, Claire?" the woman whispered, her voice like a cold wind, echoing through the empty bus. Claire's mind raced. How did this spirit know her name? The woman moved closer, her movements unnaturally slow, gliding across the floor as if she wasn't touching the ground. The bus jerked violently, and Claire lost her balance, stumbling to the floor. "Why do you come here?" the spirit hissed, her voice growing more distorted, more terrifying with each word. "Why do you disturb me?" Claire scrambled to her feet, but the woman was standing right in front of her now. The chilling stench of death filled the air. Claire could no longer breathe, her lungs burning from the cold. With a scream, Claire lunged for the door, trying to escape. The bus slammed to a stop, and the driver's cold eyes met hers in the rearview mirror. "Get off!" he growled, his voice more menacing than she had ever heard. "Before it's too late." The Legend of Valak. Claire didn't hesitate. She fled the bus as quickly as she could, her legs trembling beneath her. She ran through the storm, not daring to look back. The Midnight Express slowly pulled away, disappearing into the darkness of the forest. The next day, when Claire told her story, the locals weren't shocked. They had all heard of the ghost that haunted the bus, Valak. According to the legend, Valak was once a nun who had lived in a nearby convent. She had been obsessed with the occult and performed dark rituals. One night, a terrible fire consumed the convent, and Valak's body was never found. It was said that her soul became trapped in the spirit world, forever bound to the bus she had once traveled in, waiting for unsuspecting passengers to take her ride. Over the years, several people had seen her. Some reported hearing her whisper their names, while others claimed to feel her presence before seeing the ghostly figure. But no one had ever been able to explain the true nature of the Midnight Express or why it continued to roam the town's roads at night. The Curse of the Haunted Bus. Since that night, Claire never set foot near the Midnight Express again. However, the bus continues to haunt the town, and those brave enough to ride it on stormy nights often report strange happenings. Unnatural cold spots, the sense of being watched, and sometimes even the appearance of the dark figure in black. The legend of Valak lives on, and with it, the terror of the haunted bus. For those who dare to ride, they may find themselves trapped in a nightmare,